Hello! Today I'm doing my first ever What If on my channel. Today's What If is going to be, what if Blue and Luna switched places in Book 11? So, let's get started. Luna was excited for Blue's hatching day. Blue, on the other hand, was kind of terrified. Claimed it was the scariest moment of his life. But it might have been. Because the day she went to his metamorphosis, he was spinning fire out of his wrists. She was highly alarmed, like any dragon should be. Dragons all around were freaking out. The guards did something to him, but she didn't know what. She ran. If he was a flame silk, then that means she would be too. Io helped her. They had to run. They ran as quickly as they could, trying to get away from the guards. She couldn't fly yet. Would have been a lot more useful if she could. She came to a public place, but there were Hivewings all over, Hivewings and Silkwings. She didn't know what to do. There were so many, they'd surely catch her. Io told her to act like a servant, walk quickly but not too fast. She wanted to run as fast as she could through here. But she supposed it was best. But Io got caught. She was scared, admittedly. So, she ran. Hivewings and Silkwings caught this immediately. She was running, but for what? Until a Hivewing made the announcement. Queen Wasp was controlling them all. They looked like zombies. A tiny Hivewing dragonet latched onto her legs. She screamed, kicking it off. She didn't feel sympathy for that beast. Or any of them. She got pulled into a classroom. She was trying to go in. She thought for sure it would be locked, and of course nobody would be in there. But somebody pulled her in, and they didn't seem like they wanted to hurt her, but maybe help her. It was dark in there. She couldn't see who it was, or if she knew them at all. She walked through the narrow hallways. They seemed friendly, talkative. Too many questions. But at least she was away from those things. While she was walking, she caught a glimmer of yellow scales? It's a hiveling. Are they mind controlled? Are they leading her somewhere? She thought those were just stories of mind controlled dragons. But they seemed totally real now. They were. This dragon apparently couldn't be mind controlled. She didn't know why. Luna didn't either. But they worked together. The hiveling helped her, covered her up in paint so they wouldn't recognize her. The dragon was named Cricket. Cricket was actually pretty nice. She never thought she'd meet a kind hiveling, because she never has. But she was surprised when she saw Cricket. Why would a hiveling help her? Especially when she's being hunted down by the rest of the hive. Well, since she was covered up in paint, she went outside. A hiveling guard, they weren't mind controlled anymore, pointed out there was a patrol tomorrow. They should go inside. So she walked inside. She had already told Cricket about Swordtail and everything. She went to the cells, Miss Behavior's way, and there was Swordtail, only a couple down. Cricket seemed to have snuck something into her pocket, her little pouch. It was a little potion. It was green. She wasn't sure it would work either. Luna was a little hesitant about this. Swordtail was paralyzed, like all the others, but it's kind of disturbing seeing all of those dragons standing completely still, not able to move a muscle, even if they wanted to. Cricket tried it, and it did seem to work at first. Until he got, super strength. Apparently it was supposed to make plants bigger and stronger or something like that, along those lines. All it did was make him weirder and weirder. They took him with them, dragging him into danger also. He was already crazy and was already in danger on Miss Behavior's way. But he was about to be dragged into even more of that, as if he hasn't had enough already. Since when does Swordtail? Cricket really had helped her. A hiveling. But helped her through so much. They hid in this tiny hole they found in the savannah. The savannah was full of nothingness. ever since all the trees have been wiped out from the tree wars. They were planning to go into the wasp hive. And they did. They snuck in successfully. They were planning to stay there in her garden for a night, but someone would surely catch them. They found this weird place that surely Blue must have been kept in. It was covered in silk. Cricket cut it open, and she opened it. There wasn't much in there, but crept up behind her 2 leaf wings? 3? She thought they had all been wiped out. They should have been. She growled at the sight of them. But they weren't going to kill them, luckily. But they did ask something of them. Tie them up and then ask something of them. How polite. They wanted them to steal the Book of Clear Sight. Literally like the most valuable thing there. If she's smart, she has a copy. Apparently, the leaf wings were called Sundew and there were 2 others. She didn't really care much about their name. She just wanted to get this whole thing done with and over. So, Cricket was gonna go with Sundew. She had on fake wings that make her look a little bit like a silk wing. Wasn't quite successful. They put some dye on her, some kind of paint that made her look a little more silkwing-like, she supposed. But she obviously wouldn't buy that. Maybe some stupid guard would, she scoffed. Sundew was violent. She didn't really mind that. But she wanted to get it over with. They said they'd help her find Blue. Her brother, Blue. How did they know? Well, she went with them anyways. Cricket demanded she took one of her friends. She wanted to take both, but obviously they wouldn't allow her to do that. They walked through the hallways. One time, Sundew saw a really nice carving, or so Cricket claimed, of Queen Wasp. And guess what? She tore it to pieces. Of course she did. But that was the least of her priorities. She insisted Sundew keep going and stop worrying about pretty little carvings in the walls. Sundew called them tree killers. After all, kind of was what it happened. They killed all their trees. Their home. She admittedly, she felt a little guilty, but she kept going, and eventually they got to the Temple of Clearsight. The Temple of Clearsight was magnificent, absolutely gorgeous. They loved it, except for Sundew. There were guards lying there, and they didn't have their cuffs anymore, their bands. So, how are they going to get through? Well, apparently Sundew had a plan. She told Cricket to walk past, casually or something. And so she did. And they didn't react at all. She and Luna both wondered, what the heck? And how did that work? It was confusing. But Sundew seemed to have even more up her sleeve. Or in her pouch. She had nearly every kind of weapon you could ever possibly think of. Well, a couple days in the day, her week took a massive turn. She didn't expect to be working with a leaf wing in a couple days. But that didn't matter. All that mattered is that they got Blue back right now. Blue was her priority. Her brother. Though she did quite hate the Leafwing. They just blabbered and blabbered about how much they hate the place. And after what they might have done to her brother, she couldn't agree any less. She hated them. Mostly Queen Wasp. But there was a librarian. Cricket had said once they got chosen, they had to stay there the whole time for the rest of their life, couldn't come out. That sounds terrifying. She thought she would have been proud to be picked out as it. Maybe, maybe not. Librarian would have been nice, but she'd much rather work with Swordtail. So, they had to fight the librarian, who was huge, by the way, and very intimidating. Queen Wasp controlled them for their whole life. She imagined that would be pretty awful. But then again, her only priority right now is Blue. So, Sundew, poured this thing called bullet ants on her, which Queen Wasp didn't control her for a while. After that, apparently it hurt a lot. But the librarian, when she was free from that, first time in many years apparently, she helped them steal the Book of Clearsight, the most precious thing. Well, she took the help. And they successfully stole it until she got captured. Great. Just great. So, apparently her dad was there. Her literal dad. She was surprised, to say the least. Surprised and happy. Very happy. It was her father. She had never really seen him. They needed to escape that place, though. Blue was there, too. He was still in his metamorphosis, but in tomorrow night, he would get his wings. She was happy for him, but needed to find a way out at the same time. Her dad insisted it was an amazing place, but she kept on going. Alright, sorry guys, I have not read far enough to know what happens next, but once I do, I will expand on it, and yeah. Bye guys! Here's the finished piece.